All right. Hey, Ron, Richard, thanks so much for joining. First, I'm going to have you do something really quickly and just introduce both of yourselves and introduce your track that you're chairing.
Sure, great. Well, I'll start. I'm Ron Zeza from Cigna Healthcare. I am the track chair. I'm a market insight senior advisor for Cigna, and I'm proud to be the co-chair for this year's SIR Health Track along with Richard.
Yeah, Richard Skyba. I run the product development and market development functions here at Moda Health. I'm proud to be a track chair as well. It's an honor and a privilege.
Perfect. And how long have both of you been members of SIR?
Well, we joined, I believe, the same time, 2010, 2009. So, yep, it's been at least 13 years.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. Well, you know all the secrets. So
and they know our secrets. So we'll just kind of keep it at that.
Right. Yeah, Ron and I have been working pretty closely for a while now. It's almost like we work at the same company, but we don't.
Yeah.
So the Society of Insurance Research for that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, let's jump into the health track. So if you could give me a little bit of an introduction to the health track, and then we'll dig into each of the speakers and the sessions that they'll be speaking within.
Well, I'll get it started here. So first of all, we're excited to announce that the SIR Health Track is going to be hosted in Cincy. It's where SIR started 50 years ago. So it has a special place in our hearts, and we want to do it proud, give it its just due. So we've been working diligently to develop an agenda for our health audience. And I think, I hope, and I think it will be very insightful and impactful for our stakeholders too, as we take things back from this conference. There's going to be a lot. We're working on diversity of content, a diversity of speakers, and it's something that we've been prepping for all year. So Richard can add a little bit of color of what to expect.
Yeah, I like, one of the reasons I really appreciate the Society of Insurance Research and the work we do is good research really drives really good decision-making and really good outcomes. And I think you'll see that with this year's agenda. We really focused on quality of life, the care delivery side of it, even a little bit more than normal. You'll see that with how better to serve caregivers. There's some content around navigators, and even a tie back into the government side, which I think is also important because that's a big funder of a lot of these initiatives, and even taking some leadership roles here with that space. And Ron, I don't know if you want to get into some of these agendas even more than I have.
Well, you know what? I want to back up. And one thing is, keep them. I want our listeners to keep in mind too. Listen, we have a lot of thought-provoking speakers that come on board each and every year. I think we continue to kind of raise that bar every year. So obviously this year, we're really excited. I mean, and then our audiences that we see pack that room, that health room, they're very engaging. They come from different carriers, regional, national, different vendors. Everybody has healthcare. So there's never a loss for dialogue when it comes to this. But yes, we're looking forward to it. I do want to say we're very proud of how we're going to kick this off. We have the Aurora coming in to speak about innovation and things to expect going forward in that space, and how do we handle it as a market researcher from a CI standpoint. How do we prepare ourselves better? So we're going to get that from them. Eric and Derek. So they're going to be here from Aurora, and then we're going to end it off with a panel like we do the last few years. And we're fortunate enough to have a representation from Cigna and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And there will be a moderator from Competiscan. So I think we have a well-rounded panel to end things, and we have a very energetic speakers starting things off. So in between, like Richard said, we're going to be talking about caregivers. We're going to be talking about personalization, studies, surveys that kind of dig into that. We also have the online navigation, as Richard mentioned, and he felt to address the fact that he's going to be speaking too from the research committee. So we're going to hear from the research committee as well. So there's a lot going on. I'm not sure. I don't think I missed anyone. As far as the speakers, we're going to see Horizon, Blue Cross Blue Shield coming. We're going to see Corporate Insights, Zeldis Research, Axiom, things like that. So sign up now if you haven't already. I think it's going to be a very good and exciting time.
Yeah, one thing also to add is in the general session, we're going to have Kroger Health, their health research area, coming in and speaking as well to the entire conference. And they're going to speak to the power of loyalty and rewards and customer retention. It's not just health related, but it is a contribution from, I think, the health side to, for everybody. And yeah, just to plug my own research track, it's we are doing more research than we've ever done before specific to health. And this is covering the health device space and how that's going to transform the industry. And it's going to be a 2-part series going into the next event too. It'll be really good.
I love that. Yeah, what I love about SIR is that it's very holistic, yet there's actionable components, right, within every one of those topics you mentioned. So fantastic track. Perfect. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question, and that is around SIR itself. So we are doing SIR here in Cincinnati, and then we have some exciting future events coming. So if you could just give a little pitch to potential members on what drew you to SIR, and of other organizations you've been involved in, what do you find to be unique about SIR?
We're going to let Richard go first.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually, because there's a lot of options out there. There's AHIP, there's national forecasting events, there's the health conference. I think with SIR is it's really the folks that you're interacting with. And Ron touched on this as well. I mean, when you have folks who you've known for a bit, it's not an overly large group. I mean, you're having a conversation with practitioners at these meetings, a lot of them who are also presenting versus getting talked to. A lot of events, you just show up, you get talked to, go see the vendors, you go home. And this one, it's more of a dialogue with folks who do similar types of work. And they're focused on the research side, the analytics versus just a leadership role or a sales role or what have you. So they're very much peers of ours. And it's important to know because we have to be ahead of the curve. Before things show up at one of these big conferences like an AHIP, we have to be there first, based on what we do. We have to lead our organization. And I think SIR is fantastic for that, getting ahead of the curve a little bit. We've had past presentations that have been 2 to 5 years ahead of its time in terms of topics and content. So it's gratifying to see it happen here and then see it happen at another conference a year or 2 or 3 later on. So.
Yeah, I have to agree. One of the most satisfying things is, we usually talk about trends and forecasts every year in some capacity in the health track. And then when these things come to fruition, for the most part, it makes us kind of proud that it was part of our agenda to start with. As Richard mentioned, we've been doing this for quite a while, whether it's in a track chair space or on a committee work. But he's right. I mean, this is a smaller, more intimate setting. Unlike some of the bigger ones that we're used to going to, you really can leverage the core here. And, it is, we say it all the time and people kind of roll their eyes sometimes, but it is like a family. When you're seeing about 300 folks at a conference and much, much more throughout the year, you're able to leverage them before, during, and after the conference. So what we like to do is we like to get some collective thoughts from these people that have sit in the seats year after year, or whether they're new or regulars. And then we're like, well, what did you think? What would you like to hear next year? Let's get together in 2 months. Let's talk about what we're going to start doing to plan the next agenda. So everyone has some skin in the game for the most part, because everybody wants to A, get approval to go to a conference, and then B, come back and tell their boss or their stakeholders, hey, this is what I got out of it. Isn't this great? And I think it paves the way for a lot more collaboration amongst us as friends and members of SIR.
Well, I've only been involved for 2 years, and I can attest to the differentiation in the community and family-esque environment. So very cool. Well, thank you both. I'm looking forward to the health track and the conference as a whole. So I think we're good with the recording here. Feel